According to the cloud.
There will come a day when we won't have to wear a mask.
Actually, I've been vaccinated. I think I have 2 more days before I'm completely as effective as Moderna will be. I'll have my 2 shots.
Good.
My second shot was not bad. I maybe didn't feel good for about 24 hours, a little achy.
Yeah.
I should have it. Now, I don't know if,
Did you get your
do a
second?
sound
Jay, you
check
didn't get
for
your
audio?
second one yet, did you?
Are we live or audio recording?
it is recorded, yes.
Okay.
Jay, you didn't get your second shot yet, did you?
It's this Friday.
That's what I thought.
Isn't it supposed to be 3 weeks before you start?
Pfizer's 3 weeks, Moderna's 4 weeks.
Okay, well, I got the Pfizer.
Yeah.
I don't understand that, because does that mean they ran out of Moderna at your place? Because you went to Try Health, right? And you got Moderna, right? That's what your husband told me.
But it's switching. It doesn't, it depends on what they get in.
Okay.
I mean, I think different organizations, I don't know if they're switching.
Okay.
I know the city, I'm giving the vaccines for the
I don't
city.
know for sure.
Yeah,
Well, my stepson said the earliest they could get him in was April the 9th and get Oxford.
See,
I'm going to
I
be.
was gonna say, I don't know. My only thing is I don't know if,
24. But there are vaccines out there in other counties near enough to drive to.
Are you allowed to go, live in that county in Ohio? I guess Kentucky made a big deal about it, right? They don't want anybody except Kentucky to go to Kentucky.
Different than Ohio. So we are all in Ohio, okay? And whether or not I go to Warren County or Butler County, it's all being distributed to Ohio.
okay.
And if they've got a vaccine appointments available, I'm gonna see if he can't get in.
Whether you're a tri-health.
Oh, yeah.
And it said
Oh,
16
actually,
now.
And
Okay, it's different.
they are
So, but I haven't looked on it yet.
usually.
Just heard about that.
so I don't know. I'm assuming that it's just gonna
I don't
record.
know.
I guess we're recording
I
everything.
didn't see a link in it.
So I've got it right here.
You can point out how anybody.
Where are they actually
I
doing?
wouldn't
They
do
give
that
them
anyway.
at
Forward
this
it.
north, they give them.
I was in a class
You know,
once,
with
and
the
the student
bowling
behind me
alley.
apparently was audio recording every meeting. I never knew that. So they stuck the recorder on the desk right behind me. So one day
Gilbert.
Yeah.
he said something.
They're
I
giving
looked
them
over.
that
I said,
little-
Because whatever
Meeting.
comes up
Good thing I didn't call
is
it.
gonna be on this screen, which is just gonna show that.
Didn't you get yours through Tri Health?
Yes.
Yeah, and where did you go? Did you go Baldwin?
No, I went to Norwood.
You went down, oh yeah, they were giving them down at the Board of Elections? Is
No,
that-
well, that was for the county, Hamilton County Health, but Tri-Health is like the next street over, they call it Wesley Avenue.
Oh, they're back in the back over here,
Yes,
where we
yes.
used to have the senior link. Okay,
Yes,
okay,
yes,
I
that's
know where
right.
that, okay. So,
Okay, we'll check that out.
go through, they are, I know several people who have been very successful getting theirs through Tri Health. If you call on Fridays, it seems to be a really good day for them. Trying to think who else I've heard.
You better have your calendar right there, because I hung up the phone one day and I would have to ask my wife, because we only had one car. And by the time I called back, we're all filled for today. That fast, you know? So,
Yeah, it's quick.
yes, very.
We've been given, I can't remember how many we gave the other day downtown,
I can get that on the camera.
but we have no open appointments when they schedule those downtown for the city. I mean, the people are just filling them up and they're coming. I mean,
No shows.
very few, very, very few.
I got a cancellation appointment with Mercy.
Did
I'm
you?
lucky.
Good, good.
Have you ever seen that, what do they call that thing about genders? Have you ever seen the thing about women that they have she/her? Have you ever seen that? Like, you know, after you put your name instead of your title, it's in parentheses and it says she/her. I don't understand that. Is
I've
that the
not
new,
seen-
is that the new way of doing it for
I've
women
not
or?
seen that.
Only
Remember, you're being
change to-
recorded right now.
I try to not look at most things. I try to stay away from the world that's out there today, right now.
What do they call that when your email, you have it set up like your name or something at the bottom? That's what I was referring to. So I sent an email to someone and they replied back and they had their name and their title, then in parentheses, it said she, it was a woman. They had she/her. I'm like, oh.
I have
Okay,
no idea what that means.
What do they call it now?
I got it.
Gender, you mean their gender?
Gender, what's
Yeah.
that term called? Gender, something
Did you
neutral or
see
something? Is that the right term?
No, I mean, they're just trying, I mean, their identification.
It's not showing on here.
I'm
I'm just asking, you know.
I don't
I'm the only
know.
one there.
I was gonna say, I have one
There's a woman
participant on this.
there was an
That's my only
accident.
concern is that you're not gonna be able to show, like, can you share your screen?
Well, since I was the only participant, that's probably not the right.
Let's do this because,
So,
Are we ready to?
so here's what happened,
yeah, let's
and
roll.
I have no idea, hold on. You know what? Hold on.
I gotta turn this phone off.
I thought you were ready to stick in your thing, Mr. Fortin.
Try to, try this number.
Number?
Yeah, for the different meeting, because the meeting, so the link that Beth gave me, she is the host for it, so it wouldn't let me record. So I just started my own
Doesn't work.
Zoom meeting since we're all here.
Different number of people.
Yeah, so
I call it paper copy, so it doesn't work.
Yeah, this is.
you'll want to join,
Even when I.
820.
Seminars and Zoom meetings.
Because
I always like to have a
they're
paper
better.
copy
Yeah,
as a
they
backup.
are better. I'm gonna go get a different matrix because my glasses are steaming up with this one. Choose your email service to send invitation.
All right, what's the meeting ID?
820-5998-3075.
It looks like a funny little master.
That's good.
560-666.
My son keeps telling me that
666.
he's a physician. He keeps saying on everything that's coming out is showing that we're fine with these two vaccines. You're great. You're good. It's a good.
I don't trust him.
He's just.
There you go.
reading all this, and he just keeps telling me.
Mr. Petty, before we start,
So you're gonna want to mute yours.
Oh, yeah. That's like what happens when we all try to FaceTime in the same room and you're.
before you start, is this somewhere on there? So when you go archive it, does it record the date and time and
It's real
everything
stinky.
on your, or do you have to say it at the beginning, like today is Monday, blah, 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 time, Monday, you're all that?
Why is that only showing up?
So are the
Double
other
click
two
full
on
screen.
here present? James and JT on? Or-
I have not heard from him.
Okay.
Mr. Stanley. Maybe he's not his mother-in-law.
Oh. Sorry. Understand.
Well. That's what it's gonna be for now, so. I have no idea it'll be a. Candace, you're in the backdrop for it, okay?
Yeah,
That's how it's gonna be recorded like that?
That's fine.
Probably,
That's fine.
yeah, if I had to
It's
guess,
fine.
I would say, yeah.
The audio is working too?
Yeah, it should be. I tested the audio. You could hear it come back through his computer, so it
Actually, if
should.
you look up in the corner of this, it's all.
Yeah, it's definitely recording.
Yeah.
It's definitely recording. So,
Thank you.
all right, so we'll go ahead and open up. I did, it is, March 22nd, Monday, fourth Monday of the month, 2021, times, shortly after 7:00, 7:10. We are location and remote. No one else had emailed me today to ask to be remote, so I believe everybody here will just be the only people attending. James Stanley he did let me know that he would not be here. JT Riley, I had not heard from him today.
I make a motion that for personal family reasons, we excuse Mr. Stanley.
need to do that?
I don't think so.
I mean, I don't think we have any kind of
Yeah, there's
mandatory amount
not.
of meetings that we have to
Okay,
attend.
I guess my motion dies for lack of a second then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead with the review of the February minutes, which I have underneath the agenda for everyone. If there was any question or discussion. Does anyone need a pen?
Correction or addition I should make. Anybody else wishes to talk about it? And, or under way at the bottom of updates,
Yes.
second sentence in. Mr. Petty informed the group that paper copies of the survey would not be available to the public. I guess that sentence to me is partially correct. As I recall, Mr. Petty said the last meeting, when I asked why, he said that was and this is paraphrasing, because he was told that by Tracy Kellum. So I would like to amend that sentence to say at the direction of Mr. Kellum's at the end. Because I think that's accurately reflects, because our group had voted that we wanted paper copies available. And this way it just says would not be available to the public, but it really doesn't inform the public why they would not be available at that time.
Did anybody have anything that they wanted to add to that? So I'll put in, and this just is my opinion, we never voted prior to this that there would be paper copies. We never even discussed that there would be paper copies, other than me saying that I didn't think it would be an issue. So we voted on it in this meeting afterwards. And it was accepted, and there are paper copies now. So I don't see how it makes any, I don't see where it makes any difference to add Tracy's name to it. It was an administrative decision that I was informed by Tracy.
Well, that's one of my ongoing issues with
Well, I
administrators.
think that we did discuss different formats that we would get this information out to the public, and I think we did talk about, maybe we didn't pass a motion, as you said. I think was the understanding that we're going to use as many formats as possible to get this a questionnaire out to as many people as possible.
And based on.
Yeah, without a doubt, we definitely
That was
did.
my takeaway from having talked about, and that we wanted to act quickly and not drag this thing on and on.
Based on the last evening trustee meetings, which I was, I believe, the only citizen that spoke at the public comment part, I brought up this issue, and as I recall, it was the last meeting. And the consensus was the paper copies would be allowed, but only at the administration building, and when I call the South Side Fire Station, it would not, the paper copies would not be made available at the North Side, North End Fire Station.
That's true. That is correct.
So in my opinion, that sentence is not correct. So everybody else may do what they wish, but I would not vote to approve the meeting minutes as printed without that correction. So I make a motion that we correct that and add that on to that sentence.
I'll second that.
All in favor of adding Tracy Kellums to the sentence?
Aye. I guess we have 2 and 2.
And I'm not in favor.
Are you voting member?
No.
Yeah,
You are a voting member?
I don't
in a
think so.
tie break. Yeah,
Oh.
that's the only time I need to vote is if we have an even.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on.
I don't think it really says yes or no in that. The recommendations. But
Standish is up.
Yeah, so the next item on the agenda is Mr. Standish to present for the 4th of July fireworks show. So Standish, I don't know if you're able to share your screen, what it's going to look like, if I need to adjust that monitor.
Those disabled participant sharing screen,
What's it say?
that the host is disabled, the participant screen sharing capabilities,
Let me see.
which is standard.
If you had me running that, there would be, the computer would have blown up by
I'll
now.
stop.
It would have blown up. Surely it would have blown up.
Can you do anything now?
Oh, that's a different view. Viewing
So,
your.
I'm sharing. I'm sharing your screen.
And do you wait, if you have it on a thumb drive, can you give it to him and he can stick it in, then it would come up on his screen there? In theory, PowerPoint on that apparatus.
Which I do not know what this.
Do you have a paper copy available, Mr. Fortin? No, I do not. Hard copy, whatever they call it? Part of my conservation approach. Yeah, I'm not in, my membership in the Sierra Club is not current.
So it won't let me.
Do you want to try just opening the file?
Are you gonna show us fireworks? Because if you're gonna show fireworks, then it might be worth going through all this, but if you want to talk, you are very good at talking, Standish, so you could probably,
If I may ask, was any of you, when he presented last year at trustee meetings, were any of you here for that?
I don't believe I was.
Okay. I thought he presented very well at that time, and it did have whoever pictures on that screen came up.
I'm just being facetious.
This?
It's like,
So that brings it to the front. Check that. And then this piece in.
Kathy, it's a good thing that we didn't want to try to do anything fancy to present.
Pretty simple. Did you get a chance to look at it?
I did.
Click on the arrow.
That's why I said I was crazy this afternoon.
There we go.
It just kept being crazy, and finally I was like, I gotta go.
Interesting.
I had my aunt.
See, and I don't know if it's because they have, just because of how they have this computer itself set up. I thought they usually came up down here.
Oh, well, I've been through it with my dad, but this is like, she's my aunt.
I mean, there's.
No, we can just talk about it. Go on.
Okay.
Yes, oh, yeah, yeah, my dad had it. for 10 years. Horrible, but she's 88.
Are you the only caregiver?
Oh, she has 2 children, but they haven't seen her in 2 years.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, they live in Massachusetts. Yeah,
All right, you can get it.
I know.
thank you.
We can have a very long time.
I knew how to get this
Well, my
to
brother lives in Michigan and I did it all for him.
work, you could just use that, but
Sure.
I'm not sure exactly how to hook up to it.
I'm just gonna give you guys a visual. This way you roll this. Am I presenting? Please stand by.
If,
Sorry, folks, I didn't know I was presenting.
No, I tried. I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, I can't. Okay. All right, I was gonna try and allow you guys to see a map of the park, but hopefully you're all familiar with McDaniel's Park.
I am.
I know quite 3 were at the event.
But that's okay, I'll win.
Okay, so you 2 ladies unfortunately did not get to attend last year's event. But McDaniel's Park is how many acres, Jason? Just to test you?
12, 16, close.
It's 14, we'll cut it halfway.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty large park, and Bechtold is about the same. Maybe Bechtol's a little bigger.
A little small, Bechtel's smaller.
It is small,
It's
okay.
a little bit smaller.
So that location was selected of all the parks in the township because of its size and also the surrounding area. Working with Razi's world famous fireworks, they identified that that park would be best because of what's around it. And prior to the event, I did speak with all of the adjacent property owners regarding the event and got clearance, even letters that I sent to the township saying that it was okay to have the fireworks there. But that's the park we identified, and there's plenty of space for people to actually congregate in addition to that. For those of you that may or may not know, last year I came to the township, said, hey, I want to host fireworks for the 4th of July. Township has never celebrated the 4th of July to my knowledge. So this was the inaugural 4th of July event. And my idea was to have a beer garden, music and food trucks, along with other activities for the residents to enjoy. This was all done by the community. No dollars came from the township. And as a result of the event that did occur, money actually did go back to the township from it. So it was actually a net profit for the township, ironically. What we wanted to do was to have the beer garden, the concert, and the food trucks, and the trustees as a majority decided they were not comfortable with that. So I simply acquiesced and said, the people simply want to have fireworks, and we got that done.
They were beautiful.
Now, this is the brewery event that you hosted last summer, is that correct?
No, one of the event sponsors is a brewery, and they held an event the same day, which is near McDaniels Park.
So you're saying there was actually a public fireworks event in Sycamore Township? Because
Jason, would you agree with that terminology, public fireworks?
Well, yeah, so I mean, the way that it was run last year and the way that it, to my knowledge, will be this year is that it's an event put on by just a citizen of the township. So it doesn't have any.
But why? That does not make sense to me.
I concur. So I created a nonprofit for multiple reasons. Red, White, and Boom Sycamore is the name of the nonprofit, and that's
Excuse me, what was it again? What's the name of?
Red, White, and Booms Sycamore, which there's a website, redwhiteandbooms.com, which is just a placeholder to thank the sponsors and give people information about the event. But to get it done, sometimes people have to get things done.
Oh, I think it's great that you've accomplished it. I'm trying to understand why the township didn't want to spend any money or manpower on an event like this when all the other communities in town do this.
Understand. That's one of the reasons why I wanted the Parks Committee's input on this. That's similar to my viewpoint that the township should do this for its residents. But in the meantime, for my kids, and that's honestly why I did it, I wanted my kids to have fireworks. So
Of course.
my kids got to watch fireworks, and the other kids did too, big kids and little kids.
We went to the field across, like next to
Oh,
the
yeah,
brewery. There was nobody there.
it's a huge field.
It was, I mean, we were in the parking lot back there. There was nobody there. And my granddaughter was living with us at the time. So they were beautiful. We could see them from there. It was wonderful.
Yeah, we don't know exactly how far away they were visible from, but we estimate thousands of people were able to see them. At the park, there was probably only, I would say, a few hundred. Part of the restrictions last year was that we were not to advertise the event. And we did not do that. We acquiesced to that. Some of the entities around the park did advertise that there were going to be fireworks, which caused some confusion for some of the township residents.
Right, I saw it in the Empire and I came to the meeting here and I asked the question, you might have been here for that meeting, actually. I was completely confused by that. And then I was told it was a private event. So we need to do a better job regardless of who's in charge of it and how it happens.
Yeah,
Well, I think that's why we are an advisory committee. And I think then we will listen to you and everybody will have their opinion. And then Jason will take it to the trustees. And then do you make a presentation to the trustees, or is Jason just going to do this?
well, and that's where the whole
I mean, do we
public,
decide that?
private, technically Red, White, and Booms has rented the park. I think my name was on the application.
Yeah.
Um,
For 2021 already?
I believe so, yes.
No, well, I don't have an application for 2021 yet.
That was turned in a couple months ago. I'll resend it.
Okay.
But basic concept, and there are, for example, I have researched with other townships. Other townships do have nonprofit entities separate from the township that will organize and run the event. And there are township staff that work on that committee. That's another model that is done in the region. It's up to the township what the township wants to do. The reason I'm here is I have taken out a lot of my own personal time to organize this for the community. And if it is at all possible that the township could help me, it would make my life easier. And to be honest, create a better event and experience for our residents. So I had two questions for this committee. One, what would this committee like to see at a 4th of July event? I know it's very broad. I don't expect you to have an answer now, but I did want the Parks Committee, since it does happen in a Sycamore Township Parks, to have the opportunity to provide guidance on that and maybe even give some incredible ideas.
Well, I'm thinking back to, we have not established a mission statement or anything, but one of my reasons for being here was to promote affordable activities for all of the residents, especially people who don't have a lot of money. So I'd like to see us have a free event with very minimal cost, if anything, if we expand beyond the fireworks, you know, if we can, like in the years to come, have things that children can do that are either free or cost very little, you know, free refreshments or not, or refreshments provided at a nominal fee. So that I'm really interested in children who are not rich and their families being able to do an outing in our parks that is uplifting, good quality experience and not expensive. You know, if you go to the 4th of July things at, let's say, Kings Island, you have to pay the admission fee and then you have to buy stuff that you eat while you're in there. So it's more expensive. So I would just say, I'm supporting things that do that from my own personal take. We have not completed what our mission statement is, but that's my personal mission and being a part of this group. So if that's what happens with this, then I would be inclined to be very supportive of it. And we do other things in Sycamore Township for events and put some either staff time in it or actual dollars. So I think the precedent is set that Sycamore Township does put staff involvement into some events. There haven't been very many, but some, and that staff, of course, is money, and that they have provided some dollars. It's hard to tell because we don't know what the budget is for the parks, but I'm sure that there was some actual dollar amount in some of the things that were done. So that's my take on it.
I would agree. Oh, I'm sorry, Jay, go ahead. You can start very simply, as you stated, with music, food that people would pay for because no one would expect the township to hand out refreshments. You know, the food trucks or whatever idea you come up with, or vendors like they used to do when we had the annual concerts, however it works. But it would be great for families. People are so tired of being cooped up in their homes. And I think it would make the township look great that they wanted to come together and do something for the residents and nearby residents as well.
I was gonna say, and like the Blue Ash, doesn't Blue Ash have fireworks on the
Well,
4th of July?
they did, but they had name entertainment, they had concert
But they did,
quality
yeah.
entertainment. It was
I mean,
canceled last year.
Yeah, it was canceled last year because we have gone and sat at the corner of like Kenwood Road, where Through the Garden is. Yeah, we've gone
Creek
like,
Road, Kenwood.
we've sat there to watch the Blue Ash fireworks.
Because you want to be in the middle of that.
Oh, no, you don't want to be down there. So we have gone, you know, we've done that. We've had our picnics at home or do whatever, and then just go watch the fireworks from there. This would be great because we could walk.
Yeah, so
I like that.
not to interrupt you, Jay, but to your point, Blue Ash Fireworks used to be located up near where
Town square.
Oh, I know.
it's now held. Ours is held.
Or yeah.
Oh, I remember that.
Grooms Road.
Oh, I remember,
Yeah.
because we actually, years ago, we used to get on the street that runs that way, and we used to just stand there, we could watch them through the back. But I think it would be, why else are we here? We're here to promote parks and to promote activities. And so I think it's very noble of you to take this on. And I think that I would be definitely in favor of asking for some support from the township for a nice event for
Should
the
we
township
discuss
residents.
what kind of support we would be supportive of?
Jay, did you have something that you wanted to share?
Yes, a couple of thoughts, and I apologize, I can't remember who here was at one of the trustee meetings last year when Mr. Ford made the presentation. And I believe he had the representative of Rosie's with him that night. And you can jump in, you're correct, or correct me. And I apologize, I can't remember what month it was, but in my words, it was almost at the onset of the COVID thing when we became, and as I recall, I don't know, all three of the trustees, but two of them were, the big hesitancy was like, I call it the unknown, this is my words. Their big fear was that the township name was on it or something, or sponsored it, was the risk with COVID and everything else. And this is just my thing. So.
But you said that Blue Ash canceled last year, right?
Mhm.
They didn't have theirs
Okay,
last
so
year.
anyhow,
That's correct.
hold on a second, I'm sorry. Oh, so now we're first shot, second shot, 6 feet, 3 feet. Schools many of them are back opening. So I think we're in the tunnel, but we're much more cognizant of many of the issues related to it. So I may be wrong, but what is this, March, April, 5 or 6 months away. By then, the majority of us may all have our second shot in a couple of weeks and all that. And I think, obviously we can't wait till then, but I think that was, my understanding was that's where I'm going with this, is that was the hesitancy of the trustees. They were concerned about traffic, liability because of the COVID thing and everything else. And again, this is just me speaking as an individual and just a resident, not a member of this committee, but hold that thought. Mr. Ford and his group and my wife and I, we went there and we stayed pretty much for the whole event. We weren't there like from sunrise, but we were there. Oh, and the food, if I pronounce her last name wrong, Howell, Mrs. Howell, some of you may know from Madeira. She and her sister, Mrs. Howell, is a very, very well-known community activist in Madeira, Ohio. And she and her sister, and they had a nice big tent and whatever that's called here now, the spread, the food, the buffet. It was terrific. As you can tell from my size, I was not for one for food. And this is all free. They had beverages there, and I call it wholesome free family entertainment. Mr. Ford had his children there, and for what it's worth, bragging, my wife got introduced and had a nice time playing for a while with his son, and all his children are very well behaved. But I think this is like what you were saying. This is what we need, and wholesome family entertainment, free. And we need to get it. When I say we, I think our group should promote it, recommend it to go to the trustees. If Mr. Ford has to go again and do a presentation, I think this is a perfect example. This is what we need. I think Mrs. Early and Mrs. Kugler, I think they're working on scavenger hunts. We have some yoga things. So we're trying to get different things in different areas, different parks for the people. And I think this is basically what our group's all about. We want to promote our township, promote the parks, make it different events, try them and work them at different areas. If any of you ever have an opportunity to see his PowerPoint, there's a lot of sponsors and he did his homework. There was a ton of work done in that. And to me, it moved, what do they call it? Moved nicely right through the whole situation. They had a nice band, played a lot of different nice songs, food, the fireworks started on time. There was no fights, no one was drunk, no one was causing a problem. I think it's outstanding. And that's what we need more of in this township. And I would recommend that our group, we take a vote and have it go into the trustees for their approval. And I'm not really up into the sponsorship. If you're asking you want the township to contribute, the township wants to support, the township wants to promote, but I think together with your group, your Red, White, and Boom, and the township, I think, and with advanced promotion, whatever they are, mailers, all these modern technical things, I think it'll be better and better. We can look forward to an annual event. I thank you for your time. Aside from the technical stuff and not coming up with the pictures or what they used to say, you had to been there to understand it. Boy, I understood it. I was there, and it was a lot better for the first time. Even after he basically, in my words, he got shut down, or he didn't get too much support from our township. And I can understand maybe their aspect at the time because of medical reasons, but no one is being forced to go. And the same thing with this year. For whatever reasons, if they don't want to go, they don't have to go.
Well, I think the state guidelines are different now than they were then, and that it has to be considered.
Exactly.
If we make a motion, I think it would be important to include to allow the township to advertise this, because we have many vehicles for advertising, signs up in the park, the newsletters, email blasts. So I would like, if anybody makes a motion, that we might consider putting that in, that the township at minimum support the advertisement of this event.
Publicize it widely.
So if I may ask, so are you okay or prefer that your group remains the sponsor, and you want to use private event or something? So is it your intention you would consider this a private event by your group's sponsorship, or do you want to include the township in some aspect of it? What's your goal or desire on that?
Well, as you pointed out, it was deemed by many as a public event. The township law director, I believe, used the term private event, or one of the trustees did, out of being timid, for lack of a better description. There is a group or an individual that rented the park to do this. The purpose is not for me to have a private event. The purpose is for the community to enjoy the celebration of the 4th of July as John Adams decreed. What I would like to do this year, because there still is uncertainty, and this is evolving, is to have the township be a sponsor of the event, similar to how it's been recognized as a sponsor of other events. And in exchange for that sponsorship, that Red, White, and Booms would not incur the $1,400, $1,500 X number of dollar charge that the township levied on Red, White, and Booms. The purpose of that would be, there would be more money to buy more fireworks.
And what was the charge for?
Park rental and supervision. And forgive me, I don't recall the exact terminology, but somebody from the fire department was required to be there at a certain time.
And they'll have to do that anytime.
And the law enforcement, the same thing? They were also.
Law enforcement was paid for out of the sponsors. And that's something that, we had a good number of sponsors last year in the amount of time that I was able to go out and everybody loves the 4th of July, right? Unless you're not really American. So it shouldn't be hard to get more and more sponsors. And that's where some of the funds went to. I don't want, now there are some municipalities, some townships that budget, I've seen $16,000 a year to put on an event.
Wow.
What that event turns into is another question. We're not at that point right now.
Yeah.
Maybe next year, the event could be much grander, but at this point, based upon my volunteer time, I'm looking at getting the fireworks, organizing food trucks, music, and beverages.
I think that's a lot.
It is a lot.
It's a lot.
And the band too, the music?
Yes.
Music is,
I think if you use
That's
the
a
same
lot.
band from last year, I think they were good, great, I think.
So the thing that when we talk about how much of it is free, now I know last year, didn't you guys have the food that was set up was not necessarily going to be for, like if we go ahead and have the fireworks show and say, everyone's been getting vaccinated, the township does decide, will you hit Remind me in 60 minutes. I looked up like I was about to shut us off. So like if there's a setup like that, and then you have 500 people show up,
Mhm.
I don't think we can necessarily advertise it as like free food.
Absolutely.
It can
No.
definitely be, just a fireworks show. And then if you have food trucks, but I think it just needs to be kind of, I would assume that since the trustees let it happen last year in the middle of the pandemic, I can't see why they would not want to do it. The only thing that I think there's going to be any kind of, I think the only thing that's going to be is having their name attached to it, which makes it doesn't make us a lot of sense to people because it's in our park. So people are going to automatically assume that it's a township event,
As they did. with the
which,
paper.
which a lot of people even did last year.
And I understand. I mean, I know lawyers have to get their hands in all of it. Everybody has to discuss and but I guess I hate to see him having to pay $1,500 to use a park. I understand they have to bring staff in
Yeah,
and it costs money, but I think that's the least the township could do would be to let them use the park without an expense and have to be paid. I mean, that's
I
just,
agree.
to me, that really, that doesn't sit well with charging someone who is trying to do something for the community.
Yeah.
That's just not right.
Yeah.
That's just not right at all.
I actually think it would be an advantage to Sycamore Township to put their name on this,
It would be.
because it really is for the people. Nobody's benefiting it backdoor anywhere, making money off of it. And
They're making money off this damn shit, not
I
telling
will
us.
not go into how much I personally spent.
I can't
Right.
even imagine. I can't even imagine.
I think that this is the kind of event that when we're talking about, there's more in Sycamore,
I
well,
was
this
about
would
to
be
say
it.
the same
Yeah.
thing.
And why not spend some of our money on this kind of event? Because it will have a widespread appeal. Now, you may get 100 people at the car show, I don't know, maybe 200. But there would be a lot more people that would be benefiting from this versus a car show or a luminary. It has broad appeal. And why not have the township put some money into it? I think, why not? I don't see that as a problem.
I
They're
agree.
spending money on other things. I mean, I know that the township has budgeted money or money available, and why not use it for this? Because it has a broad base. It doesn't appeal to just one group. Everybody that wanted to come or get in somewhere around could benefit from it. So unlike other events that the township is putting some money in, staff, money, whatever, it's pretty narrow who's going to it.
And if I may ask, excuse me, is your Red Wing Boom, what's the tax designation on it? 501c3 or what's the alphanumeric designation?
501c section 7,
501c7?
correct.
Okay, thank you.
501c7.
so one of the other things that you had asked for, different things to go with the event. And I had actually spoke with a couple of people earlier about trying to, earlier in the year, last year, before COVID, shut everything down. I was talking to the Cincinnati Circus, and they come in and they set everything up themselves. They operate the entire thing themselves. They don't need any people. It's a larger expense than I think the trustees were prepared to look into, but
And there's an admission fee, isn't there, for the circus, or is
No,
it free? Okay, well, they're
no,
making
so
money on the stuff
there's-
that's going on around it.
yeah, they might put up booths and stuff that people would have to, the extra stuff that you would do there, but the circus itself, what the township would pay for, or however it would work out would be free. But it's kind of, you can kind of pick and choose as to things that you want to add to it. So that was the only thing I think from last year being there, to have something else kind of earlier in the day before the fireworks, just besides the music, if we could kind of think about, because
Jason,
I don't think-
remember the rides that we had at the festival a number of years ago? Well, how
Mhm.
would that fit into something like this?
How
You know,
would
that-
it?
Yeah, I think that the township had arranged for the rides and then you bought a little ticket package or something.
Yeah, and I can't remember the name of the actual ride company, but the township paid the ride company a certain amount, and then the people that came still had to buy it. But it was the cheapest rides that you could
And
find.
it was just for young children.
$5 for a bracelet, and they could ride the entire night.
Yeah, logistically, I don't see that.
Okay, too much
working.
space.
It would take up too
fireworks.
much space for the
Okay.
people to congregate.
Yeah.
My DUH is Rosie or a representative of their firm before they get all booked up, or are they available for you for that night? Have you checked with them?
I have checked with Rozzy and they are available.
Okay, and it'd be about this, would it be the fireworks display, would it be the same length of time last year?
I
Less,
hope not.
pardon me,
I hope not.
you mean more, longer?
That's my intention.
Okay,
They were good fireworks though.
Yeah, I mean Sycamore, I'll just throw this out there. Commercial real estate wise, Sycamore is usually up at the top. I mean, if you look at our rents, we're up there. There's no reason that Sycamore should not have the largest fireworks celebration.
would you be willing to come to another, I hate to say it, come again to another evening trustee meeting and present and
Shall I have to, and my wife permits, yes.
what was that?
If my wife permits, yes.
Oh,
Well, I
okay.
think this needs to be decided quickly.
I was gonna say,
If
we
this
need to
goes
make a
on for
motion
months-
tonight. We need to make a motion tonight. One way or the other.
Will somebody make one?
Okay.
I think we've heard
Well,
enough.
I think we need to wait until we get, I mean,
How much parking is there at this park?
Unfortunately, I do not have my map to show you,
there's a
Yeah,
lot.
but
There's-
I came up with a plan and I did speak to surrounding parking lots, including some of the private entities and some of the public entities, so that there was well over 1,000 car spots that would have been secured. Going that route, we would have to shut down School Road, which is something that the township could help me on as far as just communication with the county, if we do go that route. But I have planned that out so that it would be a larger event.
You suggested something in the motion, you wanted specific wording, if I may ask, what you
I
want to repeat
wanted
what you're
the
wording?
township to support publication of it through township avenues.
Yeah, so
We did not do that last year.
So
And it's for the township residents, even though we're
Oh,
calling
I
it
thought it was
private.
private last year, so I didn't go.
So
So
there's
I'm
a lot of
especially
confusion about that.
interested in having it
Yeah.
publicized
Sure.
correctly and properly.
apparently, my words again, the COVID thing, apparently the township and some lawyer stuff, they were very hesitant because of that, to put their name, attach their name to anything. So-
Everybody was hesitant
But
last year.
this is
Let's
this
move
year.
forward.
This is this year,
Yeah,
and
let's
the
just move
state
forward.
rules are different.
Yeah.
And
We all have freedom to decide what we choose to do.
yeah,
Yeah.
at this point, did you want to wait for something else, Tina?
No, no, I think that we should be making, I think we should just decide and just make sure that, I guess, checking with you to see, do you just want us to make a motion so that you can come and talk to the trustees and say, we're supporting what your presentation is, and we would like to see Sycamore Township, the actual government of Sycamore Township, to sponsor or to assist, or I don't know how we would say it, to support.
You one of the sponsors?
I think we need to say that monetarily,
Marketing,
I
promotion.
mean, and promotion wise, as far as being, I think we need to participate. Sycamore Township needs to participate in this as,
A co-partner,
I
That'd be
mean,
great.
a partner.
And also, if other townships have somebody helping as far as event staff, or volunteer to help coordinate, that would also be helpful. I'm just following other models that are out there. But yes, I agree with everything that you stated.
I mean, I'm just not, I'm not really sure how. I guess what I am not sure is how we can make it so that it sounds like, so that they can't say no. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be mean.
If it comes from you, how couldn't?
Oh, yeah, they love me so much. But I'm just saying, just
I
so
think
that,
we should just put a motion out there, Tina, and let the rest of it fall where it may.
we just don't want it to be rejected.
We
But
have
we
thought
have no
about
control over what they're gonna do.
Yeah,
the
that's,
benefit to the
All we can
average
do is try.
child and family, that this is a low cost or no cost family event. Crosses all areas of the township. It doesn't benefit just one group or one charity or one organization. So let's get motion. Let's get something going, a resolution or whatever we got to do here, because so
And
that
could
we
this
can
be,
send it on.
if, assuming we pass it or majority passes it tonight, can you touch base with the trustees as soon as possible to get it on the agenda for their meetings, one of their meetings as soon as possible?
Yeah, we can get it on the agenda. I think their next meeting is next week, which I don't know for sure if it's in person or on Zoom, but I'm on vacation next week, but I can still, I'm not going anywhere. I can come to the meeting.
If you're gonna present by Zoom, I'm okay with that, but just at least get it on the agenda.
Okay, I make a motion that the Sycamore Township Parks Advisory Committee supports the presentation and the red, white, and booms. Is that right?
Plural, booms.
Booms.
Plural?
Presentation for a July 4th party.
2021?
What do you want to call it? Do you want to call it a party?
Or a celebration.
Celebration.
Yeah.
Celebration at McDaniel's Park. Do we have a time? Do we need a time yet? Or just let's just go for the day on July 4th, 2021.
Second.
Let's just go with that.
So all in favor of the Sycamore Township Parks Advisory Committee supporting the Red, White, and Booms holiday event in McDaniel Sports Complex? All right, motion passes.
Thank you all.
Thank you for.
Thanks, Standish. All right, so the next item on the agenda is event planning. So that would be Tina and Kathy.
And I'm sitting here and Kathy and I did, and Kathy has a nice proposal made up the draft, but I'm sitting here wondering, we want to do something the week before. That might,
Let's do optional on a date.
I'm
Let's
just
go
saying,
ahead and
but
talk about
yeah,
it.
I'm just saying, we need to kind of not giving it a chance to talk to her about it, but
Mhm.
yeah, so go Kathy.
I'll Give that to you.
Okay.
Can you shine that up on anything or for Lisa and Jay to see?
You know, look at those, there's the projection.
Or, I mean, I can send you a copy
I
of it
can-
real quick. or- And make one
I was
person.
gonna say, so I'm not worried about you. I mean, I'm not worried about me. I feel very.
He's gonna make a couple of copies for
Okay.
all of us present and as you see across the top, I said draft,
I know.
draft, because these things are always a
Well, no,
process
no,
and
no,
flux.
no,
But the whole idea is what we want to see if we have support for that.
Right.
And go on to the trustees to ask for support, and even if we might be flexible on the date.
Yeah, I'm just
But the
thinking.
rest of it, we
Okay,
can
yeah.
discuss and put forth.
Oh, while we're waiting, I don't know if you're all up on this for what it's worth. On the township website, they put up, don't quote me, but within the last 2 weeks, an application for people that wants to participate in what I call the 3 Community Memorial Day Parade. So apparently,
Where's this at?
Deer Park, Sycamore, and Silverton.
Oh, yeah, it's,
So apparently, based on that, it seems like we're becoming more and more open. So I'm gonna guess that they're doing that for May. Hopefully, they're gonna do it for July for the 4th of July fireworks, or they would consider having it open.
Certainly hopes.
yeah, I haven't heard how many parades are being planned or not planned, or have you heard anything?
Well, other than Memorial, I have not.
For Memorial, yeah. I just wondered if like, because
Montgomery.
Blue Ash usually has that big parade for Memorial Day.
I wonder if Montgomery's gonna have their 4th of July parade. I haven't heard anything on that either way.
Blue Ash has a really nice Memorial Day parade.
Is that on or off?
I haven't heard anything.
Nope, thank you.
I don't know.
Kathy, you still
I
have?
have my original or one of the ones I printed out at home. I don't think we-
You got
I
one?
got one thing, yeah, out. I printed it out.
You want me
Like I
to
said,
start
if you
talking?
want,
Sure,
there's
go
all-
right ahead.
Yeah, I got that.
Tina and I went over, we talked on the phone after we agreed to kind of try to think of some activities for youth and families in some parks. And we decided that Clayton McDaniels was a good spot to start with this at, because anything going on over there, nothing's been planned for that park. And we talked about what could that be. I want to clarify the purpose of it is a fun activity for township youth using township park space. The purpose would also to be to provide some sort of useful educational opportunity. And the third purpose of this event would be, or other events like it, to acquaint our local residents with what we've got in the parks. So come and see, come and participate. The activity that we focused on for this was one, a scavenger hunt, and Lisa was in charge of, or Christine was in charge of thinking about that. I've contacted a few agencies about educational presentations that could run along at the same time. Bicycle safety, fire safety, Hamilton County Soil and Water doing some things with bugs or plants, conservation, Sierra Club, garden clubs. Stewart Elementary School is right near there and they have a school garden. Maybe we would, so that's the kind of thing that we might be talking about. I also think that this is a good time to maybe get a volunteer component in with some sort of volunteer outreach to local private citizens, people that live near there, local business. That Clayton McDaniels has lots of businesses right around there or anywhere else, civic groups, schools, churches. There are several churches near Clayton McDaniel. So then to do things like this and make them feel good, you have to have some budget, some refreshments that could be given out, some prizes for any activity that we had, and some staff hours from the Parks Department would be needed. So we had thought about June 26th, but that date is flexible. It could be later, but not earlier, I don't think. I don't think that I can get something together in May. This is already almost April. So maybe August, we could have an event, you know, after 4th of July, before kids go back to school. And then if we had some success with this, we could start thinking about this as something we could do at other parks or whatever. So
And multiple times of the year is what we talked about.
we just try to get something written down and off the ground.
Yeah.
So, questions?
Let me look, the one thing that I want to do is make sure. So like I've planned already figuring that we were gonna do the fireworks show, so I blocked the schedule for McDaniel. So there's a lot of Saturdays that the soccer fields and baseball fields are already scheduled out. So I just want to make sure that whatever we do,
I honestly,
I've got open dates.
I honestly think that it would not be a good idea to have it the week before the 4th of July thing. I think that would be, I mean, I just after, and I'm not, we just kind of looked and like we picked, and I, not even thinking about the 4th of July, that was like not in there.
Yeah.
I think that sounds like we could put our efforts and stuff into helping with the 4th of July.
Why don't we say before October?
Yeah, I think maybe,
30th,
yeah, I think maybe we ought to
We would
aim
have an
for
event
something
like this.
later.
Leave it wide open.
Yeah, and find out from you when you see some open space in there, because we have to check with him, see who's scheduled where, when, what, because obviously, but we'll just kind of forget the date, but this is kind of what we were talking about. Because you don't want to do an Easter egg hunt, obviously, that you just can't. I just don't feel comfortable. I think a scavenger hunt, kids love a scavenger hunt. They can do all kinds of, we could put things out for them to find. But I think when we were up there, we found all kinds of things that they could look for, things they could see. I mean, and give them a list and go out about, you know, Kathy had some good ideas as far as refreshments. There's always the refreshment stands are up there. When we were talking about like, you know, springtime here, then we were talking about possibly fall and doing something fall at Bechtel or something. So, you know, we were flipping back and forth so that we could do both, you know, more than one event. So I don't know, we're going to have to re-talk and rethink
Well, I think the only thing we have to rethink is the dates, but the content is, for kids, for education, for fun, and get kids coming into the park, and to have it where kids can easily get there. There are lots of children in the neighborhood of Clayton Downs, lots of children near Bechtold Park. There are not many children near Schuler. That's
No.
Yeah,
no,
Schuler's not a good
that's
place to do
there's
it.
no children there. I mean, I thought about events we could have there involving the fire department, but people would have to come into it. So trying to put an event where children can come to it as easily walk in, or it's a very, short little drive.
Yeah.
There's plenty of parking there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and if we do it at McDaniel, later in the year, I don't really have much of anything scheduled except Sundays.
Okay,
So if we did it on
That's good.
Saturday,
that's good to know.
well, as
Yeah.
soon as you can, if we get permission to do this, get a date, because then I would be getting in touch with a lot of these educational things. I have to have a date.
yeah,
I would need a date for that, the bicycle safety, how to, I mean, where we could get that, or the fire, department doing something on safety. Maybe not our fire department, maybe there's an organization that does
yeah,
events, something for children about, what to do if you catch on fire, what's dangerous, they teach that in school, but we haven't been in school,
yeah.
so.
I know I'm pretty sure that our fire department can get that trailer. I
Okay,
don't know if you've seen that or not, but it's a
I have not.
trailer that's like a small RV, and they have smoke that starts in it. It's just like you can walk through and it shows you.
well,
how to
anything
get
that's
through, so-
interactive, I think
Yeah,
kids are
kids
gonna
really
really
learn
enjoy.
Yeah. And if
Some
our,
kid might want to become a fireman
Yeah.
because of that, or
I would start
firewoman.
with our fire department and give them the opportunity first.
Mhm,
I love to see the police get there in some format to interact with children in a, I'm here to help you, that sort of thing. It was
Did
great if you
Lieutenant
do that.
Tar, he respond to you?
Yes, he said he would try to help us.
Yeah.
I did reach out to Lieutenant Tar
yeah,
already, but I didn't have enough details for him to come back to me. So
Yeah.
once we get the okay, we can, and maybe you can help us.
oh, yeah,
Push forward with this on connections. There's probably things I haven't even thought about.
Well, I guess what we're gonna have to now is kind of back up on the date and tell them the reason we didn't do the date.
To be announced, let's just, this is a draft,
Yeah, I think that's what we just
but
need to say.
before
Um,
October.
yeah. But we just decided, I just don't think,
I think it'd be really good if we did it like early September.
yeah,
You're almost getting right, coming out of summer.
I'm
that's a good
open to
time.
any
Well,
of that.
because August, the problem with this, sometimes people are still on vacation.
Yeah,
September is great because people are they're back in school, everybody's in school. And,
The
or
weather's still decent.
the weather is usually hot in September.
yeah, it has been. yeah.
And the time frame is optional too. I just put 12 to 3 because we've not done this before.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be longer, or
Mhm.
maybe it, so I'm absolutely direct me on that. But the purpose, I think, stays pretty much the same, and the activities, they could be expanded, but for sure, something simple. And I definitely think we need some prize money for simple prizes and some free refreshments. I was thinking of, little packaged cookies
Mhm,
and some juice, what do you call those? Juice boxes.
yeah,
We were talking about that. I told her that there is, in Sycamore Township, there is a candy store
mhm.
Yes,
at,
There is.
at McCabe.
that little,
Oh, yeah,
Shopping center.
yeah, yeah.
What is that?
I think most people probably think it's Montgomery.
They do,
Yeah,
but it's
that
Sycamore
is
Township.
Sycamore,
It is
yeah.
Sycamore.
Pricey candies.
I think it's called Superior Candy or Superior Chocolate or something, right?
It's a candy store in
yeah.
there. And, so I would, kind of like to see maybe,
we would like to try and buy local if we could,
Yeah,
but, that's not in my hands, but, so, well,
So your
do we
budget-
need to have a motion, or what do we need to do next,
I have
or,
a question, if I may.
oh,
Your budget, 1, 2, and 3, or 1 and 2, you're gonna be requesting the townships would front the fee or the, okay,
and
okay.
I don't know that I would put an amount in. Because we don't know how much it's gonna cost.
let's start somewhere.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is it may not be enough.
Right.
And if you put that amount
That's
in,
what you get.
that's, you might,
We won't know that until after it's over with.
until you get.
So, well, that's what,
That
so
we
the
didn't
one
have
thing,
enough.
one thing that we want probably, the only thing I would suggest is that we know actually what the prizes are gonna be. Because the thing to me, the prizes seem like that's not gonna be enough money, depending on what you're talking about getting.
Oh, something simple.
But, I mean, you don't know how many kids are gonna show up, but you never know. You could have a whole slew of them
Yeah.
come. And so you've gotta
I'm
be
open to
prepared.
ideas on that.
You
Somebody
gotta
wants
be
to give some
prepared for stuff
ideas.
like that.
Mhm.
And I mean, kids like all kinds of things and they like junky things usually. But, you could, if you could get somebody who can give you gift certificates, sometimes that's kind of a nice thing, a certificate for this or a
Well,
certificate for
when I
that.
worked at the festival before, the one we went to, I'm trying to think of this place in Cincinnati where you can go and get carnival
Oh,
prizes.
yeah, there
I
is.
forget the name of that place.
It's down in
It's
Oakley,
Yeah, I mean, you can get a big bag of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
garbage.
so that was what I was thinking of. Junk,
Yeah.
a trinket type of thing, and it's a carnival type prize. I think it's a carnival.
Mhm.
It
You
is.
can get carnival games there,
Yeah.
but you can get carnival prizes as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
That was, and I thought, for $100, you plenty. And supplies can only last as long as they last. I mean, if you have to have that caveat on the publication of it, till they run out.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
For promotion, I hope I'm using the right thing, A-frame or sandwich boards, I think what you had ordered for the yoga when you had them last year.
Mhm.
You think the group, I think it would be good to have some of those signs, not only at McDaniel, but maybe at around.
Oh, no, we have to advertise, yeah, we have to
Yeah, that's a great
advertise.
idea because people that come to the park will see that
Mhm.
and either say, I want to come back to that,
Yeah.
or they'll share with a neighbor or whatever.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think the township would take the responsibility to promote it.
Yeah.
And before I forget, a little off the subject, but the signs promoting the survey, whatever you want to call them, the yard signs all
Yeah.
over. I congratulate you on that. And I didn't go to the way up north in the other parks, but at least closest to me, Bechtold, I think that's well done. I'm hoping you'll get some response. I hope it's like they used to say, and how did you hear of our event? So I hope maybe when they come back, they say, I saw your sign in Bechtold or wherever,
Yeah.
and that's why they're responding. So that was very well thought of. We have it by the shelters. I think that's a great idea. So I wanted to let you know, I appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, they're doing, so far we've got, I think, just a little over 200 people that have taken the survey. So
How long do we have till? The end of the month?
April 30th.
Oh, end of April.
April 30th. Yeah, that's when they're gonna close it. So I like this a lot. I mean, I think it'll be a great event.
What
I
do we
think it'd be
need to
really good.
Do we as a group need to say we are supporting this idea within the general outline?
Yeah, we really
or-
don't have it, just a general
Yeah.
idea that we could go forward with this.
Yeah.
Before we do any more work, would this be the kind of thing that the
Yes.
township would want to support
Mhm.
and that we could, plan and, because I think Kathy has a really good idea about bringing bystanders, thank you.
Thanks for your time. Sam.
Bringing people from the community in to help, volunteers and things like that, to like try to get people from
Is that your
neighborhoods
stuff or his stuff?
That was there.
to help with something like this, because
Parking lot help.
Well, I mean, it's just-
handing out
those are the kind of things
you
that
don't have
people
to have
like
your
to do.
staff doing it, and King and I are not enough.
Yeah.
So.
but I think people like to help if they're asked to help.
Mhm.
That's the whole problem. We don't ask people enough anymore. We
Yeah.
used
Those
to-
are very specific little, we could work on that later, the kind of tasks that would be needed to be covered.
But just community support and community
You know,
involvement.
The more
That's
you have
probably-
your community participate in this, the more they have ownership of the park and feel that we're getting some use out of it.
Yeah.
It's doing some good for
You can use
children.
the email blast to ask for volunteers, because a
Mhm.
lot of people are reading that now.
Yeah.
That's all it would take, and you probably have 20-some people.
Yeah. The email blast and Facebook. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people are really seeing the Facebook page.
And
now,
that's
a lot
great.
more than
And then
they
that's how
have.
people
Yeah.
communicate now. And that's how we have to move to that.
That must be the fire
If I
department.
may suggest, we're,
Truck is that loud back there.
this is thinking back to the former summer festivals when you had concerts and that, but
Said car, no muffler.
what's the
I think
term
it's a
called,
franchise.
tents or booths? You know, for the weather, I don't know what you call it, but you might want to start
Yeah.
thinking about, you know, and I don't know how much.
Well, at
event-
Clayton McDaniels, we've got a pretty large sheltered area. If we
Yeah.
had to just,
Mhm.
we got 2 sets of bathrooms, we've got the concession stand where a lot of stuff can go in there
Yeah,
for distribution. And if
Okay.
it starts raining, people are gonna leave. I mean,
yeah,
if it
yeah.
rains a
Yeah, I
lot.
mean, you don't have to, that's just it. I mean, if
Mhm.
you just.
Have you
Yeah,
been
no
over there,
shelter
Jay?
space, what was that?
You been over to Clayton McDaniels?
Yes, but I would just,
Oh, that's right, you were there for the
Yes.
fireworks. Although you might
Yeah,
not
I th-
find that
I
part.
think it would probably end up being just like anything, like honestly, I see, Standish's event turning into something, pretty big over the
I do
next
too.
couple of years. I think it'd be nice. It would be a nice alternative. Whether or not it needs to be the biggest in the city.
Well,
I mean, I don't know. I don't
It
know.
doesn't need
I don't
to
know if
be
the park is big enough to have.
everything
the
like on
biggest in the
71
city.
or 275 cars are waiting for hours.
I was gonna
to
say,
get in.
I
Yeah.
remember the last time we went down to Blue Ash at the park.
It's a nightmare.
It is a
We went and it was like, I just want to get out of here.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be here. I don't care about fireworks. It was horrible. And that was a long time ago. And so
And-
I don't want this to necessarily be the biggest thing.
That was, to me, that's what was so nice about his last year was that, no, I mean, I think a lot of the reason there wasn't that much of a crowd was because of
Advertising.
COVID and we didn't advertise. But it was enjoyable because it was not overrun with, you didn't have to worry about where you're.
Yes,
gonna
there
park,
was
so-
plenty of distance between me and anybody else.
Well,
So,
Can somebody
well,
make a motion then on this? I mean, I don't want to since I worked on it. I
Yeah.
one of the other two that didn't work on it would make a motion.
it's kind of an up in the air kind of a thing, but I think it'll be more specific as we get closer to establishing a date,
yeah,
which we need to work with you on a date and try to figure out what's going on. But
so I'm assuming everyone's in favor of the idea. I'm in favor of the
If you
idea.
want, wait, if you want a motion and make it all official, I'll make the motion that we have the early Kugler proposal for kids' activity in Clayton McDaniel Park in Sycamore Township, Ohio, the date to be determined in 2021.
All in favor.
Wait, we need a second, right?
So that's
Okay.
what,
Thank you.
we'll go ahead and close that. We're gonna move into the parks guidelines and duties. That was one of the things that I wanted to talk about tonight was that.
Yeah.
So in conducting these meetings and the minutes and everything else, the one thing that continues to be, expressed to me by the township administration and trustees and everyone else is that we do not need to be nearly as formal as we are with this committee. I mean, we really don't need to be worried about making motions and it's literally like what we did tonight with talking about the fireworks show and talking about this plan is really what we need to just stay focused on doing that kind of stuff. And I mean, it's,
I would have to say that although that, the informality of it, yes, the good discussion, yes, but I think you have to come to a point where we have to say, what do we want to have happen and vote on it? So I think you have to have some of that, or it just becomes a mishmash.
I
don't
agree.
remember what happened, and sometimes I can't remember what happened.
Okay.
I agree, but so what I'm kind of talking about though is like when we start, when we start putting, stipulate, when we were talking about pickleball. And we'll have pickleball, but only if there's lights and only if there's, it's all of that stuff that, I want to be able to get things in front of the trustees. Let them decide how everything is, how they're gonna handle it afterwards. Because if we keep coming to them with all these, like even with Standish's thing, if we say, yeah, but we only, agree with it if you guys sponsor it, if you guys are supporting it, if you guys, because I have no idea what their reasoning is gonna be if they say, yes, you can have it, but no, we're not advertising it all. I have no idea what they're gonna say.
their input.
Yeah.
It would be a big problem.
To ask us to be part of a group to put on an event that is not a township event is not really appropriate.
So that was the thing, though. That's why they wanted Standish to go to the trustees meeting first and even get their approval before he came to the Parks Advisory
Is
Committee.
it the same presentation that he gave last year?
I don't know.
So
Well, I was there from last year. It is very muddled. I'm all for informality, but I come doing my homework and with a desire to improve the experience for the residents of Sycamore Township through parks experiences. And so if I'm gonna put time and effort in it, and I do want to put some guidelines on it, because having for example, having the 4th of July thing and not promoting it in any way is kind of it's a bust.
Well, you all went and I sat at home because I
Yes.
thought it was a
So
private
I
party.
think-
I even brought it up in our meeting and someone said
Yeah.
it was a private party.
Yeah, team.
Okay, I'm gonna be the fly in the ointment here, because this is what we need to discuss. We have, and Jason passed this out, advisory committee, Sycamore Township Advisory Committee. Establishment, composition, terms, duties, you pass that out to us.
Yeah.
There is another advisory committee. It is the Finance Advisory Committee.
Yes,
The trustees established both of these committees. They set them up differently. Has anybody read the Finance Committee? They actually have bylaws.
Mhm.
They have bylaws. We don't have bylaws. We have just what they established for us.
Yeah.
And at this point in time, and I'm saying this not to be difficult, not to be a crab, not to be anything else, but we all accepted our position on this committee. I mean, we all did, without seeing anything, knowing what our guidelines were. I didn't see the guidelines. Did anybody else look at the guidelines before you accepted the position? I don't think any of us did. We are not considered to be the same as the other advisory committee. You can like it.
Wait, when you're saying we are not, you mean in your opinion, or you mean according to the township?
According to the township,
Okay,
they did not set us up the same way.
okay, yes, that's troubling to me.
Well, I don't know if it's, and everybody can have their own opinion, if it's troubling to you, or you like it, or you don't like it. But the point is, that's how it's set up. And that's what we have to work under. Because I did not realize any of this. I have to give my husband the credit for bringing this to my attention. He said, have you read what your committee is? Have you read what the finance, because I was, complaining about this or complaining about that. And he said, there is a huge difference,
Yes,
but this is what we agreed to. And this is what we said we would do. If you have a problem as a person who, I am at this point happy to just do what they've said to do. I'm not saying that I don't want to be heard. I'm not saying that I don't want things to go to the trustees. I do. I want I want him to be able to go and say what he said, because I think we should be doing that. We should be supporting what he's doing. That's what we're here for, is to promote the parks and promote activities and everything like that. But they basically kind of limited us in our existence. And they could do that, and we don't have to be on this committee. I'm not saying it's good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just stating facts that this is the way it is. And it might behoove everyone. I don't know, Jason, if you want to make copies of these. This is the Finance Committee bylaws. Or if you just want to
I
go
have
on.
read them.
You
and
have
they
read
are
them.
very, they're the absolute opposite of what you're talking about. They are following a formal procedure and investigating things and making recommendations and having motions. The one thing I'm a little concerned about is if we can't add things to the agenda, if the administration, whoever that is going to say, no, you can't talk about that, I have a concern with that. I'll just be very upfront about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Because if we can't talk about what we want to talk about and not given a reason why either,
So which agenda item are you talking about?
well, I asked to talk about the nature preserve a while back. He said, let's put that off. I haven't heard anything about it again.
Well, that's what I only said that because I was wanting to wait until we got response back from our survey, not because I didn't want to talk about
Okay.
it. That was the only reason is I
And
just
the
wanted to
other,
get,
there was all back and forth about whether or not Standish would be allowed to make a presentation, like whether it'd be on the agenda or not.
yeah,
I'm just saying, if we can't suggest things to be on the agenda, then
There's something very wrong with that.
why not? You know,
yeah. No, and that was exactly what, when I talked to Tracy and I let him, because Standish called me. Standish said, do you care if I have, give a presentation to the advisory committee Monday? I said, no, I don't mind at all. So I put it on the agenda. Let Tracy know, because when I make the agenda, I send it to Tracy, I send it to Ray, everybody sees it before it goes out.
is that the two people that see it, or you send it to the trustees as well?
No, I don't send it to the trust, I send it to
Just
Ray and
clarify
Tracy. And,
Why does, regardless of the position or title, why does Tracy get it? Is that because he's in theory, or I guess in the books, he's considered the head of the parks, the department head for the parks? Is that why? he
yeah,
gets
well, I
it?
mean, he's my boss. That's why I send it to him. He's my direct supervisor.
I have no problem with that. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
if we
so that
want to put
was,
something on the agenda and then it's gonna be vetoed, I do have a problem with that, and especially without a reason.
And then my thing to add on, and maybe it's minuscule or petty, but, and I don't mean your name, I mean small, minuscule, is the paper surveys. And you came to the meeting and said that, I believe it was the last meeting, and that's what I talked about earlier tonight. You said, Tracy said that would, the paper surveys would not happen. And that never went to the trustees. And regardless whether it's Trace or anyone, if our group discusses something and whether we vote formally, informally, my understanding, maybe I'm wrong, any of you can object, it should go to the trustees for their review or their approval or their denial. That's my belief. And 2 or 3 times already since I've been a member of this group, Tracy, Ray, or the other guy named Ruthholder, somebody is kiboshing our ideas. And I think that's very wrong. I've been to every single meeting of the finance committee, and I've yet to hear of them ever saying, Ray didn't like it or Tracy didn't like it, therefore we're not going to do this. And I think I have a problem with our ideas not being allowed to go to the trustees. That's my opinion.
And I accept that the trustees will say, we don't want to do that. I understand my role here as voluntary. And then I don't have a legal authority to do anything, but I don't want to be filtered out either. So let's just say that that's my. point of view.
I understand exactly what you guys are talking about. I think the only thing that my confusion is that we never had a discussion in the meeting or voted on having paper copies until after the fact that I told everybody in that meeting that Tracy had said, we're not going to have paper copies. That's when we made the motion to say, we think we should have paper copies. They talked about it in the trustees meeting. They decided that they would have paper copies and we have them. So I mean, I'm not intentionally trying to leave anything off of agendas for any reason in particular. All I want to do is make sure that we're bringing ideas to the trustees for things to do in the township. So when we say stuff and this is just my opinion. So if we say something like, we're going to make a motion that the Parks Advisory Committee for Sycamore Township agrees to have Standish Fortin's red, white, and booms display only if the township, that's the kind of stuff that I want to stay with, because what we're saying is the township decides to not support it and to not promote it and to not do anything, are we then not in favor of having it?
Well, I think that, I don't think we ever said, and you can't have it if you don't do A, B, and C, but we made suggestions that this would enhance the process for like the pickleballs. If we have lights, that's going to make it a lot more accessible to a lot more people, a lot more fun. I don't think we ever said only if there were lights, but there were several things that we said these would be enhancements to that. And of course, the trustees can peel something off, that's fine. And then the community can come forth and say, no, we really like to have that, you know? Or the Parks Committee can come back and say, you know, we really think that's, don't let that off because that's really important. But again, I understand, I think everybody here does, that we're making recommendations, and I think we should make recommendations.
We should.
And they
That's
should be.
what we
not
do,
really-
an advisory committee, and that's.
Let's have a park. Well, we want to drill down a little further on that. Well, what are you talking about? Park, recreation? You're talking about recreation that's free or recreation that you pay for it? I mean, so I do think we have to drill down with a little more detail than just, we're in favor of this.
It says that in the duties. 2A, to meet and confer with the Parks and Public Spaces Supervisor to make recommendations in all matters pertaining to the supervision, use and enjoyment of the parks, playgrounds and recreational facilities owned, operated or leased by the township when used for recreational purposes or activities. So that's what we're supposed to be doing. That's the first thing that they say we're
With some
supposed to be
detail.
doing.
With some detail, not just very broad, but we won't agree to this unless we have all of the things that we suggested. No, I'm not saying that, but maybe you're not saying that either, Jason, but.
No, I'm not. That, my whole thing was, is that I want to make sure that we are all, you know, kind of on the same page, just as far as, you know, just and the way that I conduct the meeting. Obviously, this is the first committee that I've ever run. So it's not like I'm, you know, a veteran of running committees or anything like that, but the holding this committee to a standard of, you know, when the agenda goes out on the website before I send it out to everyone. If I get the agenda done, I send it to Beth, she immediately puts on the website. Some months I've been able to get that to you guys before it goes to her. I just want everybody to understand, I'm not doing anything intentionally to not, you know, it's not like there's no reason that it's not going to someone before it goes to the website. It's just a lot of times when Beth gets it, it goes up, you know, right away. And
I understand that but what I don't like is what happened last week. When it sounded like the Wizard of Oz was speaking.
when was it for?
When he's back on the agenda. When we got the email.
I don't understand what you mean
I don't know what
by
you
the
got.
Wizard of Oz is speaking though.
Well, the Wizard of Oz used to stand behind there and hide,
Yeah.
and then he would try to tell everybody what to do.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what I felt like when the email came out that said, well, Standish was allowed to speak.
After you've been taken off.
After he'd been taken
on.
off, and then he was allowed to be back on the agenda.
And there's two, my other gripe
So,
is there's two agendas that went out. So it's like, we're preparing for something and like, something like you said, on one he's on it, on the other he's not.
well, that happened, and that's not that is not a problem for you.
Mhm.
That's a problem as a township resident in
Mhm.
dealing with people who are running our township. That has
Yeah.
nothing to do with this committee. That is the way somebody is trying to possibly manipulate things and do things, and that has nothing to do with you or
Yeah.
us. My only reason I brought this up is because I was not aware. I was totally unaware that we had these guidelines that they had given us that I never read before I accepted a position to be on this committee. I don't know if anybody else did. I didn't read the guidelines. I said, sure, I'll be on the
I just
committee.
want to be on it to make it a better place.
Right,
And
right.
expand what we have.
Right, and
have the voice of
it's-
the people a little bit.
And we are different than the other advisory committee, and they obviously did that on purpose. That was what they wanted to do. They are the township trustees. We vote for them. They're the people who are gonna take the heat if something doesn't work, and they're gonna be the gods if it does. So we're just an advisory committee that we try to do the best we can. You know, we want to have this. I think, you know, we got some stuff done tonight. I think we've talked about some fun things. I think, you know, things that are going on are good. We're on the path to doing better things, much more than we've had. And I think we have to look at that as we're positively moving forward and not focus on little tiny things that are stopping us, or maybe that we're going to trip over, or that we may not like. But these are the guidelines they've given us to work within. And I don't think they're bad. It's not a bad thing. It's just, you know, it is what it is. And I do think we need to make motions. I think we do need to,
You can refer back to them later. What did
Exactly.
you decide on?
yeah.
Because after
Yeah.
a lot of discussion,
No,
don't get me
you
wrong.
don't know what you
I think
finally
we do
came
need to
up
make a
with.
motion, and we need to pass things on, and then Jason can take them to the trustees.
I want to
But
feel assured that these motions are getting there,
Yeah,
that they're not being, well,
I
I
think
don't want to
that's-
take that to the trustees. We decided that's not going to happen.
that's the part that I
Whoever the
think that
administrative
nobody here wants
person
to
is that
hear.
might say, well, we're not taking that to the
Exactly,
trustees.
exactly.
I want to be assured that anything that we do vote upon will be presented for, so they can say, well, yeah, we want to do that, or no, we don't, or go back and ask some more questions. You know, I don't care what it is, but I just want to be assured that someone who's directing you doesn't say, we're not taking that. I've decided we're not doing that.
I
Yeah.
agree, Kathy.
That's what I want to be assured of.
I agree. I don't want to be spending my time, energy, and then us agreeing on things, or, you know, discussing things and taking it to you, and then you want to take it to the trustees to present. And then somebody is telling you, no, we don't want that to go to the trustees. That is wrong.
yeah.
That would be wrong, and I don't, and Jason and I have had this conversation. He's in a bad position. He's an employee and he's head of this committee. For him, he's kind of stuck right in the middle, and I think it's really difficult on him. I mean, I just don't
Well,
agree
if you
with
can
that.
assure me of that, I'll be satisfied.
But he
Oh,
can't
yeah.
assure him of that.
No, so,
And if that happens, you've got to tell us.
so if
Exactly.
if we make a decision, like everything that we talked about tonight, the advisory committee is in agreement that we support the red, white, and booms. I will definitely go to the township trustees meeting and let them know that the Parks Advisory Committee supports the red, white, and booms show. That we think that it would be beneficial for the township to advertise it and help out financially, whether or not it's sponsoring it or letting him have the fields without charge.
Phrase it the best way.
Yeah, you know,
Yes,
without
that is
charge.
completely acceptable. And whatever they do with that, we have given our support to it in that format.
Yeah,
If it gets changed as to what the final product is, we either gonna accept it or do something else, you know,
Yeah.
lobby on another level. If I think something's really important, you know, I may go and speak individually.
And then the,
But
yes,
that's not,
exactly, yes.
You, but I don't want to have anything that we do here varied by somebody else.
and also, to me, the second big item we talked tonight was your scavenger hunt. So I'm hoping you.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
have
Oh,
that
yeah.
too then.
Yeah, we
Definitely.
will.
I'll definitely take
And
that.
I'm
to-
sure that I don't have any, I mean, I'm sure that they would like something like that, and that's not anything that they're going to refuse or do anything like that.
Yeah.
Because we can't possibly spend that much money at it. I mean, it's not gonna be that overwhelming of a, and if they start going no because it's gonna cost too much money, then they're gonna have 6 people at their township meetings
Yeah,
pounding on something, because you know what, they can spend a little money
Mhm.
on the kids in this township.
yeah.
I
And
mean,
I
they
think,
can't-
and I know that they want to. I know that they want to. They just want us to come up with ideas for
Sure.
things to do in parks. Right now, for me, I think the struggle is that we're kind of bottlenecked with, like, obviously, I want to take this to them. Standish's fireworks show is going to be in July, obviously, but I want to get the information back from the survey before we just start. Like, to me, it almost doesn't make any
I
sense to, like,
agree. We need the survey.
the survey was our big idea, and we worked hard, you know, over the winter to get that done. It's like, I don't want to start
No, I agree.
planning and just throwing a bunch of stuff at the trustees and then say, you know,
So we're gonna have a meeting before we get the results back again, aren't we?
yes. we
And
will
are
have-
we gonna work
in
some
April.
more on the mission or what we're?
Yes, I would,
Because that, I think, is,
Maybe we should do that next meeting.
the next, yeah,
Since we can't
that's,
discuss, since we won't be able to discuss the results of the survey,
mhm.
maybe that's what we should do at the next meeting.
Speaking of that survey, did you get my email about there wasn't enough space to write stuff down in there? Did you expand that a little bit?
I'm gonna ask Beth if she can. I don't,
Because
because
that's
it's,
where we want to get the
Yeah.
ideas from people. And 25 characters.
The
You
only
literally
time-
say,
Yeah.
thanks for sending the survey.
yeah,
It's
I
25
was
characters.
disappointed about
Did
that
you
as
notice that as well?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I hadn't taken the survey on the,
Have we all taken
computer.
it?
I've taken it on the phone.
Oh, I took mine on the computer.
Yeah.
Because it was easier for me than to do it on the phone.
Mhm.
But then when I wanted to put in, things that we might add or whatever, I ran out of
Very
space.
limited.
Yeah,
And so will you
Yeah.
find out about that?
yeah, I'll ask her tomorrow if there's any way she can expand it, because I
Because
was,
some of the other sections had
It was
an
huge.
enormous amount
Yeah.
of space and I didn't need it.
Way it was
Yeah.
configured, yeah.
If I may suggest, if we're gonna talk, that one of the agenda items next meeting is the mission statement. And I believe everyone except me, and I said I was okay with everyone else's, and submitted some ideas. Can you send that out to us like an
Yeah.
attachment?
Yeah.
And then we have time if we wanna add or correct or delete, or I think that would be helpful so we can see all of our
yeah.
input. Thank you.
I don't see that you're a voting member in here and that you're
I
doing
think we
ties.
talked about that in the past, that you had
But
said.
I'm not questioning it now, 'cause
Yeah.
that wasn't a big deal to
I
me,
don't
but I'm
see
just saying, I didn't see
I don't
that in
see
here,
it either.
as I looked back over it.
You can, if I may offer before we close. And those of you may know I call myself a doer, but hold that thought. Then whatever the term was, we applied, we were appointed. So in my opinion, if anybody wants to go back to the records, dates and times, they're welcome to. But for the Parks Advisory Committee, this was suggestion. The bylaws, that was suggestion. So I followed up with the trustees, and I said at that time, since I was typically going to township trustee meetings, I said, I don't recall either the Parks Advisory suggestions or the finance bylaws being voted on the trustees, by the trustees. Is that correct? And I was told that's correct. And I said, well then, basically, I used a little different word, but I said, who formulated this? I was in, meaning the bylaws for the finance, I was informed Ray. Same question to them. Who formulated the Parks Advisory Committee? That was Ray. So then later on, to my knowledge, the trustees, I can't honestly recall about the bylaws, but the trustees have voted to accept that as our parks suggestions. So that was my understanding of what happened, because I was interested, whose idea were these? And this might have been some of his ideas, some of yours, taken from other groups, other committees, but for whatever that's worth. Thank you for allowing me to share that.
Well, it's 8:30. It's time
Yeah,
to.
you guys are ready to adjourn?
Yes.
All right.
Motion to adjourn?
Set, oh.
All in favor?
We are.
All right. All right, now you all saw that it was recording the whole time. So
Poor Chase.
if it worked, I'll be amazed.
Where do you keep these?
There's a box, I'll put them all away. Oh, are any of you gonna see Standish?
I hope not.
See him, did he forget something?
He's my neighbor.
His flash drive.
He lives down the street.
Hold on over there, is that your personal stuff?
Yeah, no, that's all township stuff. This laptop goes in that.
And then, do you or the township, will this be like archived and put off the link of the Parks Committee now, this meeting tonight?
Yeah, I'll put this up on the township, or I will, but Beth will put it
In a
up.
week or so?
Beth will put it up on the township website. So the